welcome to the Lighten Up podcast with Lauren Polly, your invitation for living on the lighter side of life. I'm Lauren Polly, and I am delighted you have chosen to join me today for episode 172, being sensitive and strong. And end is in very, very, very big capital letters. So many of us think that if we are sensitive to other people and the environment, that we somehow lose our strength of self. I understand why most of us have tons of life experience that kind of point us in that direction. I know I've had multiple experiences like that where being sensitive, being open, and actually receiving the full picture with people, the full picture of what's going on in the world rocks us to such a degree that we don't feel strong in ourselves. We don't actually feel like we have choice and can just act as we choose. We spend most of our time in reaction, kind of bouncing and pinging off the people around us, what they choose, how they're functioning, and all of the energies in the world that we're highly, highly aware of and sensitive to. I'm starting with this conversation with the term sensitivity. Those of you who've been around the block with me a little while or have been listening to other podcasts on consciousness know that we're going to be making the shift very soon into awareness as more of an empowered stance. But those of you who may be newer to this conversation, and even those of you who've been around the block for a while and know that you're aware of other people, know that it is something that is a power, know that it is something that is kind of outside of you, it isn't you per se, still may be functioning a little bit with the sensitivity factor. I was quite surprised. I've been working with this for years and years and years, and I've had a lot of success and fulfillment with it, being able to hone my awareness, to open up to receive more, to live more open and relaxed in the world. And it's kind of fascinating because every now and then there's this precipice that I hit where my awareness expands. I allow things in deeper. I open up more. And in a lot of people's terms, of course, looking at the vulnerability factor and the softness factor with that. When I have reached these precipices, which I reached one yesterday, the step into sensitivity versus awareness was really, really, really rocking to me. It was quite fascinating, actually, after doing years and years of this practice to, again, hit this new level of receiving, this new level of awareness where that whole picture of people and their worlds were so, so intense that I found it a little hard to be around other people. I actually went in for a massage yesterday, and it was fascinating. The woman massaging me was very tender in very isolated moments, and the rest of the time there was just such a lack of presence and a lack of caring with my body. And tuning in deeper to that, I just noticed this lack of caring for her own body and herself, and how that was really what she was only able to gift to me. I started to cry. It was quite fascinating of like being aware of somebody where there was this lack of caring, not just for me, her client, but also for herself. And when you are willing to be more open, you're willing to actually have the strength of the sensitivity, the strength of awareness. These are occurrences that you'll continually run across. The deeper you go with this, the more you open, the more you receive, which is amazing. But like I said, sometimes there's these deeper crevices that we hit where it's like, oh my gosh, I am really aware right now. And the sidestep into being quote unquote sensitive with it really starts to rear its ugly head. Those of you who are newer to this conversation, when you are sensitive to other people, that can look a myriad of different ways. That can look like feeling overwhelmed. It can look like a very, very busy head as you pick up on other people's thoughts. It can look like people's emotions kind of leaching into you. So no matter what, you kind of can't choose how you feel what they feel. It can look very much like a tight body, someone's who's very stressed and trying to keep out all that information. A bigger one to kind of have your eyes on is where you are dependent on how other people live and how other people function to show you how to function. So your day as you're living it is really dependent on the people around you and how they're living, not so much your own choice. So if someone around you is having a crappy day, guess what? You have a crappy day. Like your choice to be aware of what they're going through and still have the bandwidth to know that's not mine, that's them, and I still have a choice for something different isn't readily available. It's fascinating how many times people live and how many people actually live their entire life this way, where their trajectory of their life is dependent on their environment and the people they're surrounded by, not on their personal choice of what they would like to live and create. And this is something that I'm really enthusiastic about offering these simple tools, and especially this simple shift from sensitivity to awareness to actually allow this to be more readily available. So you can actually have you even when you're open to other people. Again, that sensitivity can look a myriad of different ways if you're newer to this conversation. If you're practiced and you've been around the bend, just look for yourself. Where has your awareness of your environment and the people in it recently increased? And where have you taken a sidestep into sensitivity where you're now at the effect of it? What's possible right now for being able to shift back into the strength of awareness? For me, being sensitive to the environment and other people is sometimes looked at as you're being too vulnerable. You're being too open. You need to protect yourself. You need to find yourself. There's all sorts of interesting things that come with it. Those of you who've read my now multi-award winning book, The Other Side of Bipolar, know that I have struggled with this most of my life. This was something that popped up in my world as a mental health diagnosis because I would absorb everybody around me and kind of catch waves of energy, not just the people and their emotions and their thoughts, but just all these different energies in the environment and react to it. I would allow myself to kind of get rocked that way. It's been a fascinating journey, and I just invite you, even if it hasn't shown up as a mental health issue, but perhaps it's shown up as a body issue or a lack of power issue, or just feeling that you're super confused in life and have a hard time like putting things together. How can this one perspective change it? The doctors, when I was younger, actually diagnosed me as oversensitive. That was the main issue, quote unquote, they found with me. And what was I taught to do? I was taught to shut it down. And I know a lot of you out there, whether it's been through traditional medicine or therapy, or it's been through a lot of different healing modalities, have learned the same thing. You're too open. You're too vulnerable. You need to shut down and protect yourself. What if that was the greatest thing that was sticking you right now? The thing you have to realize is even if it is intense to receive the information of other people and the environment, even though it's quite intense to receive all of that coming into your space and connecting with people at that deeper level and knowing how they're thinking and knowing how they're functioning and knowing how they're feeling, even though it's intense, that's actually a true thing for you. A lot of our joy with living is when we're open and willing to receive. But because of the intensity and because of other people's points of view that we've been taught to shut it down in order to quote unquote protect, we actually give up that aspect of ourselves. We divorce it, we cut it off, and in the process, we lose a lot of us, what makes us, and also the power that being open and being aware, the strength that that can actually bring to your life. When you're willing to have awareness with no point of view, when you're willing to receive deeper and open more, you're actually allowing more information to come into your world. Information that you could actually utilize. If you're working with people, if you're in relationship with people, being open, being sensitive, quote unquote, to that, being aware, gives you a strength in how to respond. Gives you a strength in how to create with them. Gives you a strength in how to connect with them. When you are willing and able to be aware of other people and the environment, creative possibilities actually bloom. This is not what we're taught. This is kind of the opposite of what we're taught, that when you are aware, it's a sensitivity and it's something you need to protect yourself from. This is a mindset shift. This is a perspective shift into the strength of that. Being able to quote unquote handle it is very different. Being able to handle yourself with care as you're living open, as you open to all of that, is a different conversation all in itself. Having these conversations where you are able to be open, you're able to be aware, and you're able to utilize that awareness for life creation is a broad one, is a big one. It's one that we continually have on the show, so continue to tune in. In the meantime, if you can just allow yourself to go, number one, I'm aware. Every time you're going into oversensitivity, quote unquote, every time you take that sidestep into being at the effect of the environment, not just receiving the environment. Or like me yesterday, getting this massage and having this like crying release of like the lack of caring in this woman's world. Okay, cool. I'm very, very aware it's feeling super intense. I have the choice right now to shut down. But making the choice to shut down isn't true to my nature. It actually hurts more. It builds more tension in my body. And I'm here to have a massage. I like to release my body. Being able just to have those simple conversations with yourself, catching yourself in the moment when those deeper sensitivities hit, and making the shift from that into awareness. Simply asking the question, what am I aware of here? And if I didn't have to do anything with that awareness, I could receive it and let it go. What would be different and what would be possible here? Allowing myself in that massage to go, wow, I'm really aware of the lack of caring in her world. Wow, and it's not even a lack of caring towards me and how she's touching me. It's a deeper thing of how she actually functions. Okay, that's really intense. It's super uncomfortable, but that's not mine. It's also not me. Being able to receive the information doesn't make it yours. Doesn't mean you have to do anything. Doesn't mean you have to function that way. And just because she's choosing to work that way and live that way, doesn't mean that I have to follow suit. Sensitivity will take you down that path where you think you have to follow suit with everything around you. You think that it is yours. You don't see you as this unique individual entity that's just aware of everything coming in. When that occurs, ask the question, what am I aware of here? What's required? Do I need to do anything with this awareness? And I challenge you to actually allow yourself, as you maybe block it out, as you maybe go into protection and sensitivity mode, to soften, to relax, to let it come in and sweep through. This is very, very different than what you've probably heard thus far. Every single time I give a talk to a new group, this is the question I get. But I was taught that being sensitive was bad, it hurts, and I need to protect myself. This conversation about being actually more open and allowing it to come in and receiving it is a biggie. Is a biggie. Take it as it comes. Do what's accessible for you right now. If it is just in the moment of pushing your barriers down and letting it in, and then perhaps pushing those barriers back up because it's intolerable, at least you pushed them down for a little bit. You don't have to go from 0 to 1,000 with this. I didn't do that. I took incremental steps and then into bigger leaps with it. You'll notice the same thing. And again, those of you who've been around the block a lot, I really challenge you whenever you hit a greater depth of awareness, whenever you actually open up to more receiving, how much are you shutting it down because these sensitive triggers start to come in and you go back into old habits, old patterns? Being open, being sensitive and strong is actually a possibility. And if you look around the world, people who are actually open, seeing the strength that they have in them, even though their energy is readily available, even though they allow everything in, they don't go into shutdown, they don't pull away, they don't withdraw, they're just there being them. And they actually allow all of this to come in and move through. They know they are the rock in the stream. They know they aren't the stream itself. And that in of itself is the example. That is the, hey, I'm not sensitive, I'm aware here. What am I aware of? What do I need to do with it, if anything? That allows you to see yourself as the rock. Allow the water to come and flow around you and continue to move past you. It's intense. I get it. I had a very intense day yesterday with that as well, but this is something that is readily available. And there are more and more and more conversations to be had around this topic. If you haven't read my book yet, I highly suggest that as a great stepping stone. You'll see me through the course of it dealing with this quote unquote sensitivity and actually watch me move into this strength of being aware and knowing that that's the water flowing around my rock. It's not me in of itself. And being able to find that regardless of what you've been diagnosed with, what you've been labeled as, what you've been dealing with in your life experience is a power for you like nothing else. So you can find that on Amazon. I'll put the link down in the show write up for an easy find for you all. Please listen to this again. There are energies in here that are more open and receiving, and I know a lot of you have been asking for that. You've been asking to receive more business, more money, more relationships, more people in your life. But if you are battling sensitivity, and you are battling and fighting to protect yourself in the face of that, receiving what you're asking for becomes very difficult because you've got walls and gates up. It's time to stop being the gatekeeper and actually allow things to come in. That's really and truly the only way you will be able to receive your true life and what it is you're asking for, while being strong in yourself in the process. Please reach out to me. Let me know how this episode goes. As always, you can find me at laurenpoly.com. And just so you know, I will be launching a new online free community for us to gather with these conversations. That is going to be coming up on my book anniversary, October 3rd. So I will be giving you more information as that comes over the next month. But it's something I'm very excited to dive more into community support and openness around these conversations because they're so vital to where most of us are wanting to lead our life. Have an amazing week, and as always, I will chat with you next Tuesday.